Okay, guys, let's do this. Let's finish it. The one and only Bob. Catherine Applegate really knows how to tug at your heart, create drama. Oh my goodness. So we're going to start with part 3. Looking. Ivan used to ask me what I did when I wasn't hanging out at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I wasn't like the rest of the animals, caged, trapped. I told him I was scrounging for food, and he never questioned it. When you think about it, though, where's a better place to find food than on the floor of a mall at the end of the day? Yeah, I wasn't looking for food. I was looking for her. For Boss. What if? At first I didn't admit it to myself. You know how it is when you wish for something so bad you're afraid to say it out loud, 'cause what if it never happens? It was like that. I knew the odds were crazy long. I knew I was nuts. And yet, I went out day after day searching for her. 6. There'd been 6 of us in the litter, so why was I only looking for her? Because it was her bark I'd heard. After the box landed, even after the truck whirred past, I heard it. A whimper bark howl cry, something I've never heard since. She survived at least at first. I survived. The rest of them didn't. Relieved. And what did I do when I heard that bark? Did I run towards it? Did I try to find her? To save her? No. No. I was just a few weeks old, helpless, useless. The cries stopped almost as soon as they'd started. And you know what? Part of me was relieved. I didn't want to have to go back onto that highway. I couldn't bear wanting to rescue her and not knowing how. I didn't want to see her die. But mostly, I was afraid. Coward. I was afraid. A coward. There's a certain freedom that comes with owning your faults. The wind. Every day I went looking for Boss, up and down that same barren stretch of highway. Sometimes I'd catch a hint of something hopeful on the air and think it was my sister's scent. I'd be certain the breeze had brought me her voice, like an invisible gift. The wind can really mess with your head. Enough. After a while I stopped going to the highway, stopped looking. It was a relief to give up. I had enough to worry about. My paddles. As I run from the park, I keep hearing my sister's yelp in my head. Still, with every step, my doubt grows. Sometimes we hear what we want to hear. The animal shelter is close, just down the street, but there's nothing quick about the trip. Water rushes past like a raging river. The sun's been swallowed by black clouds. I pick my way through the muddy front yard, avoiding the worst of the water. Ain't much of a swimmer. Doesn't come up much in my line of work, though I do a passable doggy paddle. The problem is my paddles. My paws are tiny, not much to work with when you're fighting a flood. I see a couple humans with flashlights, carving tunnels in the sheeting rain, but mostly this street seems eerily abandoned, especially after the chaos of the park. The shelter is at the bottom of a slight hill. Rain's pulled outside the front door. Despite a pile of sodden sandbags, a police car is out front, parked at an odd angle. I find some footing on a large rock near the door. Takes me 3 slippery tries, but I manage to leap onto the topmost sandbag. I bark with all I've got, but I might as well be voiceless between the wind and the rain and the howling animals begging for escape. Inside. I pause to listen. I hear humans shouting, and I make out what sounds like a police radio chatter. But I don't hear Boss. I'm right here, right at the source. Nothing. It wasn't her bark I heard. She's dead and I'm crazy and hearing things and drenched and shivering and where is Julia? Where is George? Hey, little guy. The door eases open just a crack. Every bone in my body, every part of my doggy brain says, run. This isn't an animal shelter. This is an animal shelter. A flooding one, apparently. My sister isn't here, and I still have to find George and Julia. The door moves. Swoop. The loop comes down around my neck so fast that for a moment I don't know what it is. It's like a cowboy's lasso, the kind in old Western movies I used to watch with Ivan. But this lasso is at the end of a long metal handle. At the end of the long metal handle is a man. Stay calm, buddy. The man eases me, gently but firmly off the sandbag and through the door. I'm inside the Bow Wow Big House. The Hound Pound. The Pet Pokey. Oops. The Return of Snickers. The man pulls me along with his lasso. I decide not to argue. We enter a small room stacked with animal-filled metal cages, and I'm assaulted by howls and hisses. The cold water on the floor sloshes as we walk, just skimming my belly. As bad as my smeller is, I instantly pick up on one distinct odor. It's like the world's worst perfume, the kind old ladies emit, the kind people spray on their dogs to camouflage their lovely dog stink, the kind Snickers wears. I catch a glimpse of her in an upper cage, bedraggled bow in her droopy hair. "Snick, baby, fancy meeting you here," I say. "You look good behind bars." "Harebrained," she replies. "Hey," calls a rabbit 2 cages down. "What's your language?" "Mac, couldn't deal with you," I ask Snickers. "He brought me here because he thought I'd be safer." "Seems he may have been mistaken," I say. Carefully grabbing my scruff, Cowboy lifts me into an upper cage. He pulls the lasso loose and shuts the barred door. I am not happy, but it's a relief to be out of my noose. "Oh, great, another one?" calls a woman wearing tall rubber boots. She pauses in the doorway. "I thought we were turning people away." "People, yes," says Cowboy, "but this pup came solo." "Tick-tock, folks," says an older ruddy-faced officer. He's holding a radio in one hand and a flashlight in the other. "You're running out of time." "We hear ya, but first we've got to move everybody who's lower level," Boots sighed. "Last hurricane we had 2 feet to deal with. I swear they're getting worse." "Climate change," says the officer. "What are you going to do?" "More than we're doing," says Boots. "That much is for sure." "I'll move the dogs from room 2, Cowboy offers. "There are only a couple in the bottom level. We're out of cages, though. We'll have to double up." "Put that little female with the new guy," says Boots. "They look like twins." I'm shivering, and it's not because I'm cold. I press my hurt nose to the metal bar. I smell something. I do. I hear something. I do. Cowboy returns, dog in arms. A bark. That bark. The door to my cage opens. "Hey," I say automatically, even as my heart is already whispering the truth to me. "They call me Bob." "They call me Boss," says the voice. But by now I know. Of course I know. And I'm howling with joy. "Ah! You guys!" Oh my gosh. This is like too happy. Alive. Thunder claps. Shutters fly. Windows rattle. Water rushes. Dogs whimper. Cats howl. People yell. And all I can hear is my sister's voice. Catching up. We lick each other. Sniff, yelp, circle, wrestle. Neither of us was ever the touchy-feely sort, but sometimes you just gotta let it all out. "Wow," says Cowboy watching us. "You'd think they knew each other." Tough. Boss isn't anything like I remember. She's scrawny and flea-covered. Her left ear has a big notch in it. Her fur is dull. Her body is scarred. Her tail cut short. I'm afraid to ask how that happened. She's clearly had it rough. Really tough. "I thought I heard you bark," I say, but then it stopped. Figured I was crazy. I was napping. "In this chaos?" I ask. "I can sleep anywhere. It's a gift." Boss nibbles on a toenail. "Funny thing is I was having a dream about you. Must have caught a whiff of you in my sleep." I can't stop staring. Boss, here with me. "What?" she asks when she catches me looking at her. "I was just wondering," I say, "about your life. Do you have, anybody?" "You mean like humans?" "Nope." She gives a little flick of her stubby tail. "Never have, never will." "You've been on your own this whole time?" I flash on my cushy bed and my lovely food bowl, the way everyone knows just how I like my ears scratched. "Yep." "How'd you end up here?" "I was just scrounging out for food. Just had another litter, and I was tired, off my game. Animal control got me." She licks a nasty cut on her front paw. "Wait," my ear pricks up. "So, you have puppies?" "That would make me an uncle." A dog uncle on top of being an honorary elephant uncle. "Had the last batch 7, maybe 8 weeks ago." She scratches at a flea. "Last batch," I repeat. "You mean you've had others?" "Yeah." "What happened to them?" "Dunno. It's not like they come home for the holidays, Bob." Bob lies down on the old towel lining our cage. "Or should I call you Rowdy?" she considers. "Nope. I like the sound of Bob." "Me too." "Anyway," Boss says, "mostly they're dead, I guess. You never know, though. Maybe if you got rescued." So matter of fact, so resigned. "This last litter, well, I thought I was onto something. Found this little car, those ones that look like a big old bug, abandoned, right down by the creek near the bridge. Easy access through a hole in the floorboard. Blankets in the back seat." She pauses. "All the amenities." "How many puppies?" I ask. 3, but only one survived. A male. The other two are pretty sickly, and, well, something crashes into the front office. Sounds like a window is broken. "We gotta get out of here," a orange-striped cat howls. He throws himself against the front of his cage, then pokes out his paw, grabbing for the latch. "I'm too young to die." "When they caught me," Boss continues, ignoring the cat, "I barked for the puppy to sit tight, wait. Told him I'd be right back." She sighs. "Nice. Last thing he'll ever hear was a lie." "What's his name?" "The puppy." She looks at me like I'd asked her if she's ever been to the moon. "I don't name them, Bob. It just makes it harder." Below us, the water's slowly rising, filling the empty lower cages. We watch the humans rush back and forth carrying buckets, as if they can stem the tide. There's nothing to do, nothing to say, and nowhere to go. Not right. I stare at my sister and try not to imagine all the pain she's endured. And here I thought I'd gotten the raw deal. To lose your pups, to wander alone, to struggle for every drop of water, every crumb of food. I mean, I experienced a little of that, but Ivan and Stella kept me going. And then Julia and her family. Why me? What's so special about me? Is it really that I'm more resilient? That I've made my own luck? Am I somehow better than Boss? More deserving? "It's not right," I blurt. "Not right you should have had it worse than me." "Well, if you want to talk about not right, you and I both had it a whole lot better than our siblings," Boss says. "I'll never forgive those people for what they did to us," I say through clenched jaws. "Really?" Boss seems surprised. "If I held on to that much anger, I'd never get out of bed. Not that I've ever had a real bed." She sniffs at the towel beneath her feet. "This towel's kind of nice, actually." I look at her in disbelief. "You're one of those? Dogs must forgive no matter what types?" She almost looks amused. "Well, it is kind of our thing, right? When someone does something hurtful, they have to admit it," I say, "and then they have to be punished for it. And maybe then if they apologize and change, maybe then they get forgiven. All I know is I've done lots of bad stuff in my life, Bob. I've had to forgive myself plenty. Just, to get through the day." Boss gazes at me with her wise, weary eyes, and I figure if I'm going to forgive myself, I'd better be ready to cut everyone else some slack too. "Evacuate now." "Look," says the officer, "you need to evacuate now. It's mandatory." "We can't just leave these animals." Cowboy sticks his finger in the orange cat's cage. The cat rubs against it, purring like his life depends on it, which it maybe kinda does. You can see them in there. The officer sighs. "You don't have a choice." "We can't just leave them," says Boots, and I have to applaud her enthusiasm, even as I wonder why she'd risk her life for us. There is no explaining humans. "Just got word the bridge over Big Fork Creek collapsed," the officer says. "You guys gotta move." Boots snaps her fingers. "Wait, you have a cop car, right?" "Yes, I have a vehicle, ma'am," says the officer. "But the way the roads are looking, probably not for long." "Okay," says Boots, so we evacuate. We evacuate every last dog, cat, and gerbil we can get in your car. The officer purses his lips. "And take them where exactly?" "Shelter at the high school. That's where we've been sending people. They're not really set up for it, but once we started flooding and the elementary school stopped taking pets, they agreed to do whatever they can." The officer grumbles, considers, goes for it. The 3 humans load cats, dogs, parakeets, and hamsters, one after another, into the police car. Some are in cages, and some, including a couple of unhappy cats, are on a tug-of-war strings. A leash. It's our turn. Looks like there are 9 of us left. Cars full and then some, the officer reports, struggling to shut the shelter's front door against the rising water. We are officially out of room. Cowboy looks at us, his eyes teary. "Don't worry, fellas. We'll be back," he sniffles. "I promise." "You think we should leave the cages open? At least give them a fighting chance?" asks Boots. "In case, "Sure, but they couldn't handle this current. I can barely stand up." Cowboy shakes his head. "Look, I'll borrow my brother's bass boat. We'll come right back. Hopefully the water won't get much higher than this." "Okay then." Boots gives a grim nod. "Stay calm, friends." Like that's an option. Preparing for the worst. The wind slows for a moment, but the room goes silent. We stare at the black pool swallowing the cages below. A chew toy shaped like a pink turtle floats past. It's just us and a whole lot of water. I check out the group. 2 cats, 1 bunny, 6 dogs, including Snickers, Boss, and me. There's nowhere to jump, no tables, no cabinets, no space above the upper cages. And as Cowboy pointed out, the current is probably too strong for us to tackle anyways. "Folks, don't give up hope. You heard 'em," I say. "They're coming back for us." "No way are they coming back," says the sad-faced beagle mix. "Give me a break." You never know, I say. I am such a lousy liar. Oh, yes, we do, my sister mutters, just loud enough for me to hear, and we share a look. Look, chances are the water won't get much higher, I say, but just to be on the safe side, pile up anything you have in your cage. Bowls, toys, towels. Who died and made you pack leader? Asks a big mutt with a graying snout. Well, it beats howling like babies, I say, and instantly I remember landing in Stretch's domain. Howling like a baby is exactly what I did. I had a dog biscuit this morning bigger than you, says Gray Muzzle. What about me? Someone squeaks. Does the bunny get a vote? Hold on, Thumper, says the orange cat. This is clearly a job for a higher feline intellect. No, the sharp voice rises above the din. Listen to Bob. He's annoying, and his hygiene leaves a lot to be desired, but I've seen him get himself out of all kinds of scrapes. Thanks for the props, Snick, I say, especially the kind words about my odor. The wind groans, and something metallic hits the side of the building. We fall silent again, waiting for more. The windows rattle, the walls shudder. It's like the building is as scared as the rest of us. So, Snicker says, breaking the gloom. You heard Bob. Start stacking. How about my litter box? Asks a small white cat with dark green eyes. Would that work? Sure, I say. Use anything. The goal is to get as high as you can. And then what? Says the young dachshund. Worst case, we swim for it, I say. That's actually not the worst case, says the bunny. No one asks what is. We already know. A question. We do all we can, which isn't much. The rain hammers, the wind shrieks, sirens come and go in the distance. I wonder what Ivan and Ruby are doing, and what about George and Julia? Where are they? How are they? Boss seems scary calm, tough as old jerky. She looks the way I want to feel. Before long, the water is lapping onto the floor of our cages. It's ice cold and moving quick. 1 inch. 2. Every now and then someone whimpers or moans, but mostly we're quiet. If you can stand on your hind legs, guys, do it. Climb on anything you've got, I suggest. I turn to Boss. When I say go, I want you to climb on my back. It'll buy you a little time, maybe. No way. Please, I need to do this. Boss just stares at me. She's so thin, I can see every rib. To make it up to you, I add. What are you even talking about, Bob? I look away. I'm sorry, I say, not sure where my words are taking me. I should have saved you, Boss. Saved me? The thing is, I heard you on the highway, and I should have... My voice trails off. I stifle a sob. Bob, we were puppies. Tiny puppies. Don't be ridiculous. How exactly were you going to save me? I don't know, but I should have tried. We both did what we had to. Boss nudges me gently. Bob, this is crazy. I can't seem to forgive myself. I whisper it, but I know she hears me. Beneath the water, I feel a paw on mine. I forgive you, okay? Not that you need it, mind you. One condition, though. I nod to wait. You have to forgive yourself, too. Again I nod, and slowly but surely something fine and warm begins to fill my heart. Romeo. Before I can say anything more, Snickers calls my name. Bob, dear, there's something I want you to know. Boss winks at me. Listen up, brother. Sure, Snickers, I call. What's up? And here's that picture. Oops, there you go. Ahem. Snickers makes a little throat-clearing voice. I've kept this locked inside me all this time, but now facing the end, I feel the need to unburden myself. Really, Snick? I say quickly. There's no need for that. The thing is, Snickers pauses for dramatic effect. I love you, Bob. I always have. I love the way your cute little tail gets all curled between your legs when you're embarrassed. I love the way you hum to yourself when you chew your kibble. I love the way you drool when you take a nap. I think I'm getting the picture, Snick. Thanks. That's awfully nice of you to say. And, Snickers says. Boss can't hide her amusement. Go ahead, Bob, she whispers. What can it hurt? We're all gonna die anyway. Bobo, Snickers calls. Yeah? Yeah, sure. I think you're pretty swell too, Snick. And what is it you love about me? I close my eyes, take a deep breath. Well, those pink boots of yours those are cool. And I swear I'm trying, but I'm totally drawing a blank. In fairness, the water's up to my belly, and my teeth are chattering so loud I can't hear myself think. And, I begin. Oh, come on, how hard is it, yells the bunny, who's perched on a pile of wet Timothy hay. She's a looker, and she's smart, and she's way too good for the likes of you. Try that, Romeo. You're a looker, you're smart, and you're way too good for the likes of me, I repeat. Snickers lets out a contented sigh. That wasn't so hard, was it? Boss asks. I groan. Sis, you have no idea. So we are almost to the end. We're so close. Oh. An interesting life. An awful noise comes like a tree trunk splitting in two. While we watch in disbelief, a piece of the roof, the size of a Great Dane, simply vanishes. Rain gushes through the hole in torrents. Boss, I say, it's time. Jump on my back. And that's a good idea because why exactly? Because maybe you'll get your turn, I say. Your chance to have things go your way. I've had an interesting life. I want you to have one too. Bob, at best you're buying me a couple extra minutes, Boss says. Sis, I'm like 30 seconds older than you. You're not the boss of me. Please? Why? Just because you're a guy? I could take you down in a second with 3 paws tied behind my back. And if you get out of here, and I don't, I continue ignoring her, there's a place I want you to go. Sit on the front porch. Wait for the humans who live there. Who are you kidding, Bob? We're both about to die. 3 blocks up, 4 houses down on the left. Look for a big oak tree. Guy named Nutwit lives there. Nutwit? She's suppressing a smile. Say it, I command. Fine, whatever. 3 blocks up, 4 houses down, Nutwit. We go back and forth like that, arguing, bantering, try not to hear the terror of our cage mates, and I think maybe I'm starting to hallucinate a little. I'm starving and freezing, and I feel kind of dizzy. All the smells and sounds are mingling together, and crazy as it seems, I actually think I catch a whiff of Ivan. Well, that's kind of cool, I think. At least I'll be remembering my best buddy when I die. There are worse ways to go. Hey. The water laps at my mouth, foul, tasting, frigid. Now, I say to my sister, get on my back now. I'm saving you whether you like it or not. Something in my choked voice scares her, I guess, because she leaps right on my back with a horrified yelp. I blink back, muddy water. A silver presence looms before me. Still, I'm not entirely sure it's him until I get a real big whiff of banana. Hey, Bob, says Ivan. Giant monkey and sea monster. The screeches of terror are ear-splitting, and my poor ears have endured plenty by this point. Folks, I cry, relax, he's here to save us. Monkey! Screams the orange cat. Giant monkey! I beg your pardon, says Ivan. The bunny cowers in the corner of her cage. If King Kong is here to eat us, I'd rather drown. Sea serpent! Screams the beagle. An arched gray trunk glides past. Ruby, I exclaim. She's just tall enough to keep her head above the water. Ivan, Ruby! Snickers calls in a delighted voice. Over here, dears. Long time no see. Hey, Snickers, Ruby says. Snickers wags her drenched tail puff. My, how you've grown, sweetie. Excuse me, says Grey Muzzle, but maybe the happy reunion could wait till we're, not underwater. Ivan taps his chin. He's always slow. Always deliberate. I like that about the guy. Except when I'm about to drown. We need to get you all to higher ground, he says at last, but the current's tough to fight, even for Ruby and me. There's always the roof, I say, but it's damaged. Ivan nods. Seems there's a tree on it. Look, Uncle Bob, Ruby says, paddling back and forth. I'm an Ella mermaid. Kid always did make me smile. Good work, Ruby. I've got an idea, says Ivan. I'll take multiple trips, so I'm going to start with the smallest creatures and work from there. My sister gazes down at me from her perch on my back. You actually know this ape? He's my best pal. Ivan and I go way back. A long pause follows. Bob, Boss finally says, you weren't kidding. You really have had an interesting life. To safety. One thing about being a silverback, that strength of 8 men thing comes in handy. Ivan starts with the bunny and the dachshund, and one in each arm, along with 2 cats perched on his shoulder and head. One more trip, this time with the beagle and Snickers. Then Boss and me are on our way. Ruby holds tight to Grey Muzzle's collar, and he manages to paddle alongside her, using Ruby for ballast. So you can see he's saving them. It takes us a while to cross the street. The current's swift, and the water's up to Ruby's neck in places. Ivan, I ask as we approach the other side, did they find Julia and George? They're okay. A little banged up, but fine. They made it safely to a keeper's shed. Tree fell and blocked the door. I choke back a sob of relief. George was out looking for you when Ruby and I left. How did you find me? Ruby saw which way you were running, says Ivan. And don't forget that gorillas and elephants have great noses, Bob. Maybe not dog level, but not bad. We followed your stink, Uncle Bob, Ruby claims. When we reach the far side, I see where Ivan has deposited our fellow inmates, the parking lot of a donut shop. The lights are off inside, like everywhere else, but I glimpse a few flickering candles, and people are milling about. Come on, everybody, Ivan calls. Let's get you inside. I'm hoping these folks won't mind a bit of company. As we gather at the entrance, Boss pauses. I'm gonna head out, she says, avoiding my gaze. What? I demand. I just found you. You can't leave now. She hesitates. The puppy. Thought maybe I'd check, I mean. I know he's probably gone. She looks at the muddy pavement. It's crazy, I know. Yes, I say firmly. It is crazy. Besides, you're too weak, and your paw is injured. My voice grows urgent. Think about it, boss. What are the odds he stayed in that car and waited for you? Who knows where he is by now? Yeah, she looks defeated. I suppose you're right. What's wrong, Bob? Ivan asks. My sister... Whoa, wait. This is your sister, Uncle Bob? Ruby interrupts, turning to Boss. Then that means you're my aunt! Boss has a puppy, I explain, stuck in a car near the bridge. I point with my nose. Ivan doesn't know his way around town the way I do. That way. Not far. She wants to try to find him, but, well, you know, he's probably long gone by now. I know my words are harsh, but I'm trying to protect Boss. No way that puppy is still alive. Ivan strokes his chin. Why don't we get everyone settled inside, he suggests, and then we can figure this out. Never mind, Boss says. Bob's right. It's nuts. Way too dangerous. I'm probably too late anyway. She takes a deep breath. He's not exactly the first pup I've lost. You'd think I'd be used to this by now, wouldn't you? I don't know what to say. I want to make her pain go away, but what can I do? I'm no bigger than Boss is, and certainly no smarter, and I've got my own problems. My busted nose, my aching foot, my angry stomach. Look out for numero uno. That's my motto for a reason. It's kept me alive this long. Then, to my surprise, some fool blurts, I'll go find him. And apparently, it's me. Yay. We'll go, Ivan says. Yay. We're swimming, Ruby cries. It's not safe, Ruby, I say. You have to stay here. I promised Akello I'd watch out for you. I made it this far, she says, donning her elephant pout face. Ivan and I sigh. It's exhausting, all this responsibility, this worry, this love. Promise to stay close, I ask. She holds up her trunk. Elephant's honor. 'Cause Akello will make dog soup out of me if anything happens to you. Yuck, Ruby giggles. Hey, did you know I can almost do a somersault in the water, Uncle Bob? Ivan taps politely on the door to the donut shop. But even a polite knock from a gorilla sounds like a visit from a wrecking ball. The door opens a crack. I think 2 or 3 people may have fainted, but we can't stay to find out. I hop onto Ivan's shoulder, and the 3 of us head off. I glance behind me to see Boss standing on the pavement watching us. In the darkness and rain, I can't read her eyes, but I'd like to think there's hope in them. Traffic stop. We slog up a slight hill and around the corner. The traffic lights are out, and nobody seems to be on the streets. That is, until we cut through a stand of palm trees and come across some police officers in a slow-moving squad car, its blue and red lights circling. Attention, one of the officers announces over a loudspeaker. This area is under a mandatory evacuation order. Do not... The announcement stops, and so does the car. Uh-oh, says Ruby. I think they spotted us, I say. We're kind of hard to miss, Ivan points out. The car moves closer, so close I can see dropped jaws and bulging eyes. The car brakes to a stop. The driver's side door flies open, and one of the officers jumps out. The other officer, a skinny young guy, follows suit. But he looks annoyed. What are you doing, he says. Don't be a hero. We could have stayed in the car where it's safe. I'm looking, says the driver into her radio receiver, at a gorilla and an elephant, and the gorilla has a tiny dog on his shoulder. And no, I have not been drinking. They said the park got hit by a tornado, says the skinny officer, carefully aiming his pistol. We can't exactly shoot a gorilla, the driver says, and I like the way she's thinking. Try me. What's his crime exactly? Jaywalking? Thing is, I love elephants, said the driver. My daughter collects stuffed elephants. I mean, you know, stuffed toys, not stuffed real ones. She listens to her radio for a moment. Get animal control here, says the skinny officer. Get a van. Get a moving truck. Get a 747. I don't care. Ivan, I whisper in his ear. This is not looking good. You and Ruby gotta stay put. Don't make any sudden moves. No funny business, okay? These guys are freaking out. Ivan sits down on the ground slowly. Very, very slowly. Ruby settles next to him. The driver smiles. Aw, that's so cute. Skinny officer nods. Yeah, in a deadly kind of way. I gotta do this, I say to my friends. If you stay calm, they won't mess with you. But Bob, worry clouds Ivan's face. You need us. What I need is for you to stay alive, I reply. I can see he isn't going to listen to reason, so I try a different approach. Ivan, I say, it's like this. Boss is my sister. I let her down once, and now, well, I have a second chance. I'll explain it all later, but I need to do this. Ivan looks at the officers, guns drawn, then nods. You are the one and only Bob, he says. You got this, pal. I leap into the air, into the vast unknown, just like Kimu did. Well, maybe not quite as elegantly, but I did do my best. Lightning and fireworks. It isn't far to the bridge, but far is relative when the wind is blowing down houses like the big bad wolf. I watch a stop sign fly past, a navigator on trees scattered like popsicle sticks. I keep an eye out for gators and pythons. Lightning strikes a tree. I brace for the thunder. It shakes the earth, the air, my teeth, my bones. A branch falls on a power line. Sparks dance like fireworks. I hate fireworks. I move with more care after that. I know enough to stay away from down power lines thanks to the Weather Channel and Storm Chasers. Man, I love TV. I'd give anything to be watching it from my nice, cozy bed right about now. Good thing I know where the bridge is. My swollen nose throbs. What's the point of owning a top-of-the-line sniffer if it's not working right? When I pass a bird's nest on the ground, I offer to help the owner, a jay. He swears at me. At least I think she does. I hear nuts and some other interesting words. I tend to forget that in some circles dogs are considered predators. I wonder how Chemo and the other escapees are doing. One thing I know for sure, having been on the inside and the outside, is that way too much of the world ain't made for wild animals. How would a meerkat cross a highway? How would a panther face down a city block? How would a wolf survive an encounter with a gun? For that matter, who do I think I am playing hero? Nutwit was right. I'm soft, I'm slow, I'm not a street dog anymore. I'm a pampered, lazy pooch. I hear the rush of water, a different sound from the pouring rain, and out of nowhere, there it is, the creek. Boss mentioned that the car was near the bridge, but when I get close, I remember that what the officer at the shelter said, that the bridge had collapsed. And then I see it. Oh my god, you guys, look at this picture. A little car, round-topped, floating, caught in a dislodged tree at the edge of the roaring creek, not far from the crumbled remains of the bridge. And on top of that car, even though it's completely impossible, is a puppy, waiting. And all I can think is, that dog is a nincompoop. Another bridge. The creek is filled with pieces of trees, boards, trash, cans, plastic chairs, everything you can imagine. It's moving way too fast for me to try to cross. I stare at the far side of the creek at the collapsed bridge. I really wish I hadn't seen the puppy. I know there's another way to cross the creek of sorts, downstream a bit. An old pedestrian bridge made of wood and metal and rope. No one uses it anymore. No one with any sense. When I reach it, the little bridge is swaying like a cradle. It's blocked off by a rusty metal gate to keep people from using it, but I can easily squeeze through the bars. I run halfway across, lose my footing, run some more. Gulp. What am I doing? A fresh gust pushes the bridge with such force that I slip. Half my body is dangling off the edge. I dig my claws into the wet wooden slats, and oh, am I glad my nails are long and sharp because I fight off Sarah's clippers whenever I can. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Man, I wish I hadn't eaten so much cheese over the years. And then, whoomph, one last effort, and I'm back on the bridge. It feels good, so good, to return to that little stretch of swinging slats. I want to live. Really, I do. I don't care about the puppy anymore. I just don't want to die this way. Not like this. The fear's in my throat, my heart, my guts. I've got to get off this rickety bridge, get back to Ivan, Ruby, back to my wonderful Bob-smelling bed. I'm not a hero. Never have been, never will be. I can live with that, 'cause at least then I'll be alive. I turn moving a snail's slow, because the stupid bridge just won't stay put, crawling on my belly so I won't lose my footing again. Almost to the end, I glance back, like a fool, just in time to see the car with the puppy lurch loose from its mooring in the tree, swirling into the middle of the creek like a toy boat in a bathtub. The puppy isn't howling or anything. He's just lying on his belly, same as me, waiting. What a nincompoop, I think, yet again, and I'm honestly not sure whether I mean him or me. Hero. I will not lie. I'm not thinking, oh yay, now I get to be a hero. Nope. I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Just a few more seconds and I would have been out of here. I may or may not use a few other choice words, way worse than anything that Jay came up with. Then I run back to the middle of the bridge and wait a split second, maybe 2, maybe 3, and I jump. Cartoons. I ain't proud of this, but halfway down I remembered that I really, really, really don't like riding in cars. I'm sort of dog paddling in the air, thinking I can slow things down, maybe even reverse direction, like Wile E. Coyote in those old cartoons. Cartoons are ridiculous for a reason. Not a movie. So in a movie, I'd land all graceful and tough and grab that little guy, but this isn't a movie. I kind of land on top of him, legs splayed like a bug on a windshield. Not enough to smush him, but definitely enough to annoy him. The car spins, dips, rights itself. Hi, I say. I'm your Uncle Bob. If you're my uncle, why are you trying to kill me, he asks. Pup has a mouth on him for being so tiny. I'm saving you, dude. I grab his scruff with my teeth. Ouch, he says. The car seesaws. I scrabble, clawing at the slick skin of the roof. My nails make a horrible scraping sound. It's like trying to hug a whale. Can you swim? I ask out of the side of my mouth. It's hard to talk with a puppy between your teeth. No. Can you? Yes, but I suspect the degree of difficulty will go up considerably with a puppy in my mouth. The car lists, recovers, lopes along like a jackrabbit in tall grass. My claws make tracks in the paint. How'd you get on top of the car, I ask. Wasn't easy. Branch broke through one of the windows. I climbed out that way. Impressive. By the way, says the puppy, I think we may be sinking. No kidding, Sherlock. I don't mean to sound unkind, but I'm a bit stressed. I don't have a name, actually. How about Rowdy, I suggest. I hear it's available. Sure, what the heck? So what's your plan? You tell me, I say. What do you think was going to happen? I figure someone would come along and save me. Some human, maybe. Dog's best friend, I say. If you say so. Another lurch. We're going down. Hang on, pup, I say. Man's best friend is going to save you instead. Do not let go. The water's cold. So cold it burns. I paddle frantically. Nothing happens. It's like pawing air. I keep my teeth tight on Rowdy. Do not let go. Do not let go. I tell myself, but the water's churning into my nose and throat, and if I cough, he'll be a goner. We hit something hard and metal straight on. I'm underwater, submerged, as bits and pieces of the world rush past. It's like the tornado, only wetter. I dig at the darkness. I think of all the things I'll miss when I'm dead. Cheese tops the list. Well, okay, maybe Ivan and Ruby and Julia and George and Sarah top the list. But then, totally cheese. My back paw grazes the bottom. My nose burns. My lungs burn. Everything burns. I have to cough. I can't cough. Mustering all my strength, I struggle to the surface for a moment, fighting the water with my paws. Rowdy is dead weight in my mouth. I hit the bottom again, and this time I use it like a springboard, lurching towards the edge of the water, towards solid land, towards grass and dirt and trees and bushes and a whoosh of fur and pain. Oh man, the pain, someone grabbing my paw, losing it, teeth, sharp, sharp teeth, the smell, even with my messed up nose, of wilderness and danger. Something grabs my scruff, yanks, pulls me to safety. Back to the world, back from the brink. Kimu, again. Kimu has me. He drops me to the mud. His teeth smell of blood. My blood. I drop Rowdy. My teeth smell of blood too. For a long time, no words come. Just panting, coughing, panting some more. Nothing from the puppy. I shove him with my paw, nudge him with my nose. Nothing. I look at Kimu. His fur spiked, his eyes wild, different, unknowable. I guess they didn't shoot you, I say. They tried, he says, eyes on the puppy. Thank you for... I trail off. He glances at me. Didn't do it for you, I pause. Did it for me. With his right front paw, he claws at the puppy, at Rowdy. Hey, I say, without really thinking, or registering the size of his paw, or realizing that he's drooling just a little. I put my paw on my puny, pathetic loser paw on Rowdy too. He's my nephew, and well, I didn't take you for the sentimental sort, Bob. I'm not, just, you know how it is. No, actually, I don't know. I'm a wild animal, not a pet. Still, I clear my throat and remind myself that rolling over and peeing myself is not an acceptable option. Still and all, he's scrawny, might even be dead. Who knows? You got better breakfast at the park. I recognize all too well the look he gives me, the look of sadness and loss and anger and the look of someone who will never forgive the world. He's running with the puppy dangling from his jaws before I even know what has happened. How? I don't know how I do it. If I did know, maybe I could understand that other part of me, the wolf part. I run faster than I've ever run. I growl louder than I've ever growled. I grab Kimu's throat. I clamp down. I do not let go. Gone. He can kill me. With a sidelong glance and a half-hearted bite, he can kill me. I know that, but he doesn't. He drops the puppy. He shakes me off and pulls free. He pauses, looks at me like he's seeing me for the first time. He gazes at the sky thick with clouds. No moon, barely any sun. He raises his head. His howl is long and sad and beautiful. He runs. First aid. Rowdy still isn't moving. I don't know what else to do, so I bite the heck out of his tail. Perks the little guy right up. The truth. It hits me then. I'm so tired, so banged up, I can't go on even if I want to. I carry Rowdy to a sheltering tree, cuddle him close, give him a couple licks for good measure. Now what, he asks. Now, I say, we wait. For what? For humans, I answer, for help. Are you sure they'll come? I think for a moment. I remember all the people I've seen today. The police and rescue workers, the park employees, the staff at the shelter, the folks at the donut shop opening their door to a strange collection of animals. I remember George running to get Julia, and Julia trying to get me, and Sarah struggling to find them both. Breathe in the sweet smell of puppy. It's important to tell the truth. I'm sure, I say. Here's our picture. Forever. The eye of the hurricane passes. The storm rages on. It feels like a year, like 9 years even. It feels like forever. Rescue. When I hear Julia calling my name through the open window of her parents' car, I pick up Rowdy and dash over like it's my favorite place on this lonely ball called Earth. No clickers necessary. No treats required. I fly my drill flag all the way home. All right, part 4. We are almost done. Whew, this book is intense, you guys. Oh my goodness. Aftermath. We've lost 10 park residents total. 8 deaths plus 2 still missing. No humans died, but there were some injuries. They've already started rebuilding. It's funny the way people go right back at it after a tragedy. Everyone comes together. Lots of talk about community and kumbaya, blah, 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 blah. They're a resilient species, I'll give them that. It's been 3 weeks and we still don't have Kimu back. Suzu either. There've been some sightings, nothing for sure. I worry they can't last long. Wolves aren't native to this part of the world. I like that they're together at least. Everybody else is back with makeshift domains. Nobody's complaining though. In spite of all the construction, Julia's been taking me to see Ivan and Ruby whenever she can. Today Ivan leans on the temporary fence separating him from the elephants. Maya made him a medal for valor out of a watermelon and cucumbers. He's eaten most of it. It's pretty great. Almost everybody we saved from the shelter ended up with a home, says Ivan. Even that annoying bunny. Almost everyone, I remind him. I'm so sorry about Boss, he says in his gentle way. Here's Ivan's medal. From what we can tell, Boss never went to the donut shop. She slipped away and no one knows what happened to her. I try not to feel hurt, but I had this silly fantasy about her and Rowdy all hanging out together like a family. And I so wanted her to know what it's like to have a warm bed and a full bowl and a good ear scratch whenever you need it. I wanted her to know she deserves that as much as any dog. I guess she'd lived life too long on her own terms, or maybe she was afraid to get her hopes up, to trust. I understand. Been there, done that. But sometimes humans don't let you down. Sometimes they even come to the rescue. Hey, Sophers. You coming for the last part of the book? Riddle. Uncle Bob, Ruby calls, galloping over. She seems more confident these days, a little more grown up. Stella would be proud. I know I am. Want to hear my new riddle? Absolutely I do. Ruby flaps her ears. She does that when she gets excited. What has an eye but cannot see? I'm perplexed, Ruby, pondering and puzzled. A hurricane, she exclaims. Good one, Ruby. First rate. I look at Ivan. We smile at each other. We don't need to say a thing. It's enough to listen to the palm trees rustle and watch the sawgrass sway. Working on it. On the way home, we pass the shelter. It's been patched up pretty well, looks like, and they're back in business. I hear the usual yelps and howls and hisses and meows. Like always. I feel lousy. I plop down on the sidewalk and Julia stops walking. "What's going on, Bob?" she asks. I listen like I always do for her bark. That bark. Nope, nothing. I wish Rowdy were here to distract me, but he's still learning how to walk on a tug-of-war string. He's a pretty swell pup, even if he is a little feisty. I'm surprised how much I like having him around the house. It's weird. I feel responsible for the little guy, sort of like he's become my numero uno. Julia bends down and strokes my head. I wag my tail a bit, slowly stand. I think of poor old Julius, stuck in that backyard day and night. I think of Boss roaming the streets. I think of my siblings, the dark night, the box, the highway. I'm trying hard to find the forgiveness that seems to come so naturally to other dogs. Maybe that's what Boss was getting at. Maybe it's easier to forgive others once you've learned how to forgive yourself. I'm working on it. It's like a bone. Some days you have to chew for a long time before you make any progress. Snickers again. Once we're home, I head for the couch. I'm snoozing peacefully with Rowdy when a doozy of smell, assaults my schnoz, which is finally back to working order. It's her. Snickers is back. She's been gone for a while. After the hurricane, they had to do some repairs to Mac's house. Not sure where Snickers has been staying, but that's definitely her smell. No doubt about it. I dive under the couch. Not before Nutwit appears at the front window. "Oh, Bobo," he calls. "Someone's looking for you." "I'm not home," I yell. "Yeah, I don't think she'll take no for an answer," says Nutwit. "Shouldn't you be rebuilding your nest?" "Nah, watching you cower in fear is way more fun." "What's the deal, Uncle Bob?" Rowdy asks. "Be afraid, Rowdy," I say. "Be very afraid." The door opens, and there's Julia with Snickers by her side. "Well, hello there, Snickers," says Sarah as she passes through the living room. "What are you doing here?" "Mac and his wife just moved back in," Julia says. "They called this afternoon and said Snickers was dying for a walk." I ease back a little farther under the couch. Can Snickers see me? Maybe not, but she can most definitely smell me. For once I regret my pungent aroma. Snickers darts across the living room straight to the couch, pulling Julia along for the ride. "Snickers!" Julia exclaims. "Slow down, girl." She kneels. "Bob, are you hiding under there?" I move an inch, exposing my snout. Snickers goes insane. She breaks free of her tug-of-war string. For a moment she pauses to do a polite nose tap with Rowdy. Then she lets loose with zoomies and yips and howls of joy. "Bob," Julia says, "come on out and say hi." I pretend to not hear her, which isn't a big stretch since Snickers is barking like a maniac. "Robert," says Julia. Fine. I belly crawl out until I'm exposed. Snickers is ecstatic. She showers me with licks and nips and nudges and leaps. "Bob," she croons, "how I've missed you." I cover my head with my paws, but there's no escaping her adoration. "There's a reason we survived, Bob," she says, her fuzzy tail in high gear. "The fates want our love to blossom." "Is this your girlfriend, Uncle Bob?" Rowdy inquires. "Girlfriend today," Snickers responds in a giddy voice, "but who knows what tomorrow may bring. Perhaps you should start calling me Aunt Snickers." I am relieved beyond measure when Julia finally pulls Snickers with great effort out the door. I try to ignore Nutwit's teasing. I try to tolerate Rowdy's stifled laughter, but when Minnie starts chanting, "Bob and Snickers," followed by Moose sitting in a tree, I've had enough. I head for my doggy door, ignoring the popcorning guinea pigs, and try to locate my dignity. A visitor. This evening is like lots of other evenings. The guinea pigs are squeaking. Nutwit is puttering in his tree. Julia and Sarah and George are watching something about meerkats on the Nature Channel. I've just settled in with Rowdy on the couch when George drops a cookie on the floor. I leap into action. "Robert," says Julia, "leave it." Briefly I consider my options, but not for long. At least I share a piece with Rowdy. "You are hopeless," Julia says, "but I love you anyway." And that's when we hear the bark. It's coming from the front porch. That's weird," says George. "I'll check it out." Julia runs to the door and pulls it open. She hesitates. She looks over at me, back at the porch, back at we. "Bob," she says, "I think it's for you." And it is. Oh, that that was the end. That's so good. Oh my gosh, I love it. And there's a picture at the back of the book of this dog. And it says, I think that is Catherine Applegate's dog. Stan the dog, pictured above. So that's Stan, her dog. That's so good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are feeling inspired to read The One and Only Ivan again, you totally should. But, oh my gosh, I love this book. All right, you guys. Bye.